Welcome back to the University of Smooth. I'm your host, Nixon the Dark, the Midwest leading expert on your motivating factors for big life decisions, young men. This episode is just for you. Actually, the funny thing is, every episode we've ever done on this channel is mostly for young men, but this one's especially for young men because we're going to tackle this question of what are you going to do with your life? Not really, but we do have some more to say about sex incentives. This will be, if not an optimistic episode, at least an illuminating episode. I know we do a lot of episodes in which we don't have a ton of optimism, but we give you a better understanding of the situation you're in and perhaps what your maneuverability is. Taking the sex incentive at face value, we will acknowledge once again that your primary motivating force in life as a man is access to sex. Perhaps we'll simplify that and say access to women, because we're not talking exclusively about just burning through notches, but we're talking about getting married as well. Either one of those refers to having women find you more attractive for whatever your ends are. Your decision to build a career, get a job, or do something, God knows anything, with your adult life is primarily motivated by that factor. How can I earn respect within my community, but most importantly, make myself more attractive to women? Let's break this down into four loose categories. First category, we'll just call working class. The male working class in the United States has struggled quite a bit. You've seen plenty of issues with deindustrialization and the value that a lot of these jobs have had if they've gotten outsourced. You're talking factory jobs, oil rigs, sewage, driving trucks, garbage man, you name it. Those types of industries are dominated by men, and men will always go in the direction of those industries. They will often get paid quite a bit of money to have a job as, say, a plumber. And most of them are not necessarily saying that, oh, being a plumber or an electrician or one of these jobs, that will make me more attractive to women, but it is something that is suited to them. It is a job that has high agency. It's a distinctly masculine pursuit. There's a lot of muscle involved. Even if we're not talking about working out, these are high risk type jobs. They tend to attract men. Some of them are not glamorous in the least, but men tend to gravitate towards those jobs, especially men who decide not to go to college. The next group we're talking about, essentially, and this is the big, huge fundamental fraction, a massive, massive portion, probably well over half of young men today. They're asking themselves the question, do I go to college? That's the part that really gets at the heart of the sex incentive. Let's break it down into three distinct groups. First group, we'll call them elite aspirant. That's a phrase that you may hear from time to time. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a person who is elite, but it's somebody who has made a decision that with the talent they have or the background they have, or perhaps built-in advantages, it makes sense for them to go headlong into college, then headlong into a career with boundless ambition because they believe genuinely that there is a financial and status reward at the end of that rainbow. And of course, access to women. Then there's the next group, the guys who are not so sure about where their talents stack up, not so sure about the advantages that they have or do not have, but they're not sure what else to do. They're intelligent enough to get by through college. They're intelligent enough to land somewhere in the corporate world, but their heart's not really into it. The reason a lot of these men, and by the way, I suspect to this day and for quite a while now, the majority of men in the corporate environment that went through college to find jobs like this fall in this category of they're punching a clock, they have a certain amount of talent, and some of them may be extremely intelligent or extremely talented, but not in the way that's rewarded by the corporate environment. They do this, they get jobs that are not really respected, and for a lot of them, they found out, whether they realized it ahead of time or they just found out over the course of X number of years, that women don't actually find them more attractive because the corporate environment is dominated by women, just like universities are even more dominated by women. And when women have their own money and their own status, the nature of hypergamy is such that they look upward and they don't see middle management dude. They don't see middle of the rung guy. When they look up, they see either elite or elite aspirant or whatever. You get the idea. It's that these men are participating in the corporate workforce. Their heart's not into it. They're disengaged. Even if they perform their job really, really well, they may be doing any number of things outside of their 9 to 5 that give them much more joy, much more agency, and perhaps they are converting their talent to clout bit by bit by bit by bit. You know our roadmap. The last group, the guys who look at that same proposition and just say, no way. Either I don't have the grades, I don't have the inclination, I'm not going to take out the student loans, or the whole thing just doesn't make any sense, I'm out. By the way, those are sometimes the same guys who have dropped out of the working class trades, but it's the same deal. They're going, what's in it for me? I really don't know. I don't see it. The main thing that we want to impress upon you with this concept of incentives is that every one of these guys is asking himself the exact same question based on his background and at least using whatever knowledge and intuition he has about the direction of his life. They're all asking the same thing. Which of these makes me most attractive to women based on my background? The guys who go into the trades, that's a motivating factor for them. The guys who aspire to elite status, that's a motivating factor for them. And even the guys who go through the motions, that's a motivating factor for them. The reason that is critical for you to understand is because it shows you how difficult it is for a lot of young men, especially, to find their way in the world. They know intuitively that the rat race, which, by the way, the fact that it's been called a rat race for at least 50 years is kind of telling of what sort of wasteland corporate America can be, which even includes like government jobs and any sort of bureaucratic organization. The rat race. People who end up there, they're basically said, I don't know where else to go, but I have enough talent to put food on the table. It's not going to make me more attractive, but at least I can get by. And then the guys who drop out, they're doing the same thing. They're saying, what's in it for me? I'm not seeing much. This is a difficult and harsh reality that we're impressing upon you. That if you're disappointed by the decisions that lay in front of you and the options that you have, that is a sane reaction to feeling like, I don't know which direction to go to make myself more attractive to women. And by the way, women who are going through college, they have a fuck ton of opportunities at universities and corporations, and also they can go shake their ass on the internet, even if those two possibilities don't really pan out for them. Those are advantages that women have that make those men less attractive. So they're entirely sane to say to themselves, I don't know if this corporate America thing, I don't know if this college thing make the most sense for me. If you are dissatisfied by that decision, you are being sane, because your goal is always fundamentally to be more attractive to women. That's why the male sex drive is what it is. It is this powerful, powerful engine that motivates men in whatever direction they go. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and final thought. We came up with this roadmap: get jacked, learn game, convert your talent to clout. We did not say get jacked, learn game, go to college and get a good job, because that would be fundamentally meaningless for a lot of men. Converting your talent to clout, my recommendation for a lot of you guys who are going to enter the university system or enter corporate America, keep figuring out what you can do to cultivate the talents that you have, the pursuits that you have. See if there are other talents that you can stack on top of them. There's a few guys out there on the internet that have a lot to say about the concept of a talent stack, and perhaps you can find a way out of the rat race. But focus on what your talents are and if there is a place for them, because it may not be corporate America. So that's how sex incentives work. Take care.